Okay, welcome. So this will be a video series on our introduction to programming with C Sharp using Unity 3D. Now, Unity 3D is a game engine used by professionals in the game industry, and we're going to be using this program to actually teach you how to program in C Sharp. So, this series uses the game Pong, which is one of the first games that was ever actually made for media consumption or entertainment. The game of Pong is actually pretty simple. So what we're going to do, we're going to break up each action you have to do to make a game in Pong into about 10 different modules. Each module builds on the last, so you actually get a full scope of how to actually build the game Pong. And we go over every single part in detail, from how to place your images to how to program and add functionality to the game. So this first video is actually going to be introduction to the component-oriented system of C Sharp, and also how to actually make your object move or even fall down inside of Unity. So to begin, you see that we have our game right here, and you have two characters, 1 and 2. Now if we were to click run by clicking the play button, you'll notice that nothing happens. Why is that? Because we haven't actually programmed or given anything to the game to make it run. So for the first couple modules, we're going to focus only on player 1 here. So you'll see when I click player 1, on the right hand side, we have a couple things pop up on the inspector. You have your transform, and you have your sprite renderer. Then right below that, you'll see something called add components. So C Sharp is actually a component-oriented programming language, which means that all of the bits and pieces needed to program your game or program any piece lies within each component. To break down how a component-oriented programming language works and how we use this inside of Unity, I'm going to actually go over how do you make a sprite or an object step by step. So let's make a new character. I'm going to go to Game Object, create empty, and I'm going to name this character Bob. Bob is a new character, and when you create Bob, you see you automatically have a transform. Awesome. But one thing you'll notice about Bob is while you can move him around, you actually can't see Bob. Why is that? Because to be able to see Bob, you need to add another component called a sprite renderer. When you add that, and you change the sprite to be, let's change it to be player 1, you'll notice that Bob now has an image, and we can now see Bob. He's no longer invisible. So, after that, Bob is visible, you can see him. But there's another problem with Bob. When you play the game with Bob, you'll notice that he can't fall down. If I will play this, you'll see that he just stays floating in the air. That's not good. We want Bob to be able to move in the world. So, what do we need to add to him? We need to add another component called Rigid Body 2D. This Rigid Body 2D allows gravity to affect Bob. And now, when you press play, you see that Bob falls all the way down. But there is another problem with Bob. When you press play, you saw him fall all the way down, but he also fell all the way through the world. Now we don't want that. Right now, Bob has gravity. He can be affected by forces, but he can't exactly stop falling. It's like he's always invisible. He can always pass through objects. We don't want that. So what we're going to do, we're going to add a box collider 2D, which basically gives Bob a little force field. So now, when he falls down, he's stopped by the boundary, like so. So the way object-oriented programming works is you keep all the parts you need for a specific action inside of one component. So for the sprite renderer, this sprite renderer has a script or a piece of code in it that tells you when you adjust the sprite here, it'll change what the character looks like. When you adjust the color, it changes the color of the character, like so. For rigid body, when you use this rigid body component, there's the actual script on the back end where it tells the character, hey, when you're using this component, apply gravity to this object, or give the object a certain amount of mass. All of that stuff is inside of one component. For box collider, when you're using the box collider component, there's a script on the back end that tells your object, hey, when this box collider is attached to an object, it creates a boundary for the object or force field which did not allow things to pass through. That, in a nutshell, is how component-oriented programming works. You keep all the stuff you need for a specific action inside of one component, and you can access or change different parts of those components as you're programming or inside the game. So with that, you'll see that we have Bob actually fully created. But for this activity, we don't actually really need to edit Bob, so we can get rid of him by clicking on him, pressing the delete key. What we need to do is we already have our player here, so we want to make all the changes we made on Bob on this player. Then you're going to click on the player. Now we know that we want to add gravity to this character, so to do that, what do we type in? Rigid body 2D. We also know that we want to make it so that the character doesn't fall through the world. So what do? Add in a box collider. With that, the character will fall down and it won't fall through the world. It'll hit this boundary that's on the bottom here. That is all you really need to complete this module, and I will see you in the next one.